Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm. Classic Restos is about people that share a mechanical passion, and it's nice to see individuals reach that stage of life where their classic passion keeps them fueled for their own longevity. And we're about to see one of those people on this week's episode of Classic Restos.
Started in 1969, got a job as a plumber. Best thing I ever did. Kept on working and working for 10 years at this company, and then I started for myself, and all the sheds around town I seen, I just loved them so much I had to build myself one when I built this house in 1985. And as you look up the roof, the shed trusses are made out of fence posts because I didn't have any money. So that's what I built them out of. And all the gear around the walls, the stuff I've collected over the years, all relates to plumbing and building, because that's where I'm at. And restoring cars, of course. But that's the way I am. I advise anybody, if they like cars, to get a shed, do it up, hang all their stuff around everywhere. It gives you something to look at. It's quite good. Well, I got a TIG welder down the back. I taught myself to use it when I did up the 56 pickup. That was not hard because I've been using an oxy all my adult life. When I started an apprenticeship when I was 17, 16, something like that, always learned how to use an oxy. So when I went to get the TIG, I sort of had to learn a little bit, but I went on. Then I got a stick welder down the back. I used that before, and a MIG. That's enough to restore your cars. All the benches around here, I just this one here with the vise on it. That's a barbecue top. I scored off a job. A little anvil belonged to my grandfather. He died in 1962, and I got that. I got a wood lathe out the back. I got a metal lathe here. I do a bit of metal lathing, but mostly just for the plumbing. Planers and routers and things like that, because I enjoy doing carpentry as well. Things hanging up down on the truss down the back. That's all stuff I've collected over the years. Springs that I use for bending copper tube. Some of them come from England. They're no good here, but they're good to look at. So I hung them up there rather than tossing them. Yeah, all the old 36 heads up there. I did up a 1936 Ford in this shed, probably 30 years ago. One of my mates gave me a hand to do the engine. Put the heads on, tightened them down, filled her up with water, and it was leaking out of the heads everywhere because they had it. I polished them, and I didn't know that they were eaten out from the inside. So I tossed them and stuck them up on the wall. They look good. And I got an old Victor lawnmower sticking up on the corner there. We got a chain and lifted it up. Goes better than the brand new one, but I thought I'd stick it up there for looking at. Back in 1960, about that era, I found a BSA motorbike in the bush. I don't know what it was there for, but it had no wheels, had no motor. I dragged it home and just took the wheels off my push bike and put it on it, and we used to coast up and down the driveway on it. That's where it started. And then I thought I'd better learn to drive. One of the blokes up the road, he had a Zephyr Zodiac, and I took off in that. He said, "Can you drive?" I said, "Yeah, I can drive." I couldn't drive nothing. Anyhow, I went down the road, changed all the gears, really good. Got to the corner and he said, "You better slow down." I didn't know how to stop it. Didn't know how to stop the car. Anyhow, he helped me. We pulled it around the corner and he said, "Rightio, you better learn to drive." So that's when I started learning to drive. And the bloke that taught me was 2 years younger than me at that stage. He was a good guy. Back, would have been 1970, he got depression. And that's not that much heard of then, but he ended up shooting himself because he couldn't cope with it all. Good mate lost, but anyhow, that's the way things go. Car movement means a lot to me because we've seen a lot of countryside. We went down to Tasmania, right around the country, the little island in the 36. And then we come back home, we did a Broken Hill run. We went out to Broken Hill, we meet lots of people that are good mates forever. We done over to Adelaide, up to Broad Beach in Brisbane with 36, never missed a beat. Really good, a lot of good memories. The feeling I get when I open up the roller door and walk in gets rid of a bit of pressure. And I just walk in, switch off, and do my thing in here, and that's a lot better than outside working for somebody. And that's how I feel. It's good. And I got a little room out the back. I tried to play the guitar, but pretty hopeless. So I give that away. I give it to my grandson. He's a better player than me. No, I didn't think I'd end up with all this. I got a nice home and sits on an acre, a shed and 5 cars. Sometimes it's a bit of a chore because every weekend you're polishing and oil changing and cleaning them, and you really do. You live for your cars or your motorbikes. I've got 4 motorbikes, Triumphs, Visas, AJSs. I think this hobby that we have, vintage cars, vintage motorbikes, all that sort of stuff, even antiques, really relieve a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. You know, we can relax, enjoy it all, and all of our other mates, men, women, doesn't matter, they're all into it. Good on them. I think it'll make them last a lot longer, stress-free. Yeah, I think the shed's great. I love it. It's a good old thing. Been here since 1984, and I wouldn't be without it. I love it.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
If you have a restoration project, Hare and Forbes has the tools that you need. Shrinker stretchers, dollies, mallets, bead rollers, profile gauges, professional panel restoration kits, and so much more. Now I warn you, enter at your own risk because you will end up buying something. So come along to your Cap City store or browse and buy online at machineryhouse.com.au because Hare and Forbes has the range.
In the shed, I got a 1956 Ford Pickup. It's not a bad old bus. I bought that from Taree. A bloke up there, he didn't want it anymore, so I bought it off him. It was imported from America. Brought it home, sandblasted it, pulled it to pieces, had a straight 6 in it, pulled that out, took it over in the paddock out of the back, got a guy to sandblast it. Blew all the gutter off it when he sandblasted, all full of rust. We made up gutter to put on there, but it looked terrible, so we decided to make it a bit of a hot rod and take the gutter off. I got a Mustang engine, 302 Windsor, put in it, and an old Mustang gearbox put in it. The diff, that's out of a Jag. It didn't need nothing doing to it because it was just perfect. And I bought a Jag front end and a Jag rear end and fitted that. Kept on building it up, and then that's what you see now. My mate Andrew Ash, he painted it. A really good spray painter. He did a little bit of body work, but I did most of it. I did all the engineering. The dash, I had to pull the dash out of it because it was American, of course. I went up to Wagga, bought a dash out of an old truck up there and fitted it in, and it fit pretty good. A local upholsterist, he did the upholstery in it, and one of my mates, he's a Scotchman, he's a mechanic, he's really brilliant. He did the wiring for me. The rest of it I'd done myself. And that colour, the painter asked me what colour I wanted, and I said, Marilyn Monroe's lipstick. And anyhow, he said, okay. He went, I was only joking, but anyhow, he went home and he matched it up and got it, House of Colour, and that was the company from America, and it was pretty well much the same colour as her lipstick. So that's what it is, House of Colour, good colour. Yeah, it's a pity that Marilyn Monroe didn't come along with the colour. She's not a bad sort, but she would be old enough to be my mother. I don't think that'd go down too well. But nice colour, nice upholstery inside. Modern gauges, fuel gauges and temperature gauges and things like that are all from Rocket down in Sydney, all good. The radiator in it is original, as big as a 44-gallon drum, so it never gets hot. I've recored it. I've got a company in Sydney to recore it for me, but it was all good. It's got power steering, of course, because it's Jag front end under it. That's all nice. It's easy to drive. Anybody can drive it. It's automatic. Got the wheels on it are a little bit wider. They look a bit better than the old truck wheels that were on it. I like it anyhow. And the hubcaps, they look cool. And the white wall tyres, I like them as well. They all look good. It used to be left-hand drive, of course. I converted it. That's where I bought the dash in Wagga. And I didn't have to do anything with the instrument cluster or the little arch in the dash. I didn't have to do nothing with that. I've seen other blokes cut it out and it looks pretty ordinary. So I've just got an Aussie dash and it fits straight in because it's out of the same model truck, and they did make this particular truck in Australia as well as the States, of course. The front end, I pulled it all to pieces, put it all back together again, everything all new, all good. A little bit of rust in the bottoms of the doors. I fixed that up. There were so many holes in the firewall because everybody kept poking things through it over the years. I welded all them up and the firewall come up pretty nice. Where the wheel arches are inside, I welded all those over because we don't need the big holes in them anymore. Cleaned it all up and lift the bonnet up. It was always a pain because the bonnets never go up high enough in the front of these ones. So I bought a different system which you pull the bonnet forward and tip it up from the windscreen outwards. And that gives you a lot more space to work on. Looks good. The extractors, I made extractors up myself. I'm a plumber, I can do that sort of thing. Got that done. The exhaust, made it right through, and I used a couple of mufflers that come off a Mustang that I had. So it sounds pretty decent. Well, why do I like a truck? I'm a plumber, I got my name on the side of it. It does give me a few little jobs now still. People look at it and think, oh, there's my name and my phone number. So they ring me up and I might fix up a toilet or a shower or replace a hot water heater or something like that, you know, or make up a lead flashing no young guys know how to do anymore. Make a round downpipe, solder it. They don't know how to do that anymore either. They don't teach it anymore, so how can they know? But anyhow, I do those sort of things. My two sons are both plumbers. They do all the heavy, hard stuff, and I do the little bits and pieces. And that truck's good promotion for that. I drive that truck into town every Friday, buy my groceries. I like eating organic food, so I go in the truck and everybody looks at it, they all like it, they all got some sort of nice comment about it, and it's totally different than anything else you see on the road, especially that colour, a bit bright. But anyhow, the colour suits me, I like it. I got a Mustang which is blue, I got a 1936 Ford which is green, dark green, And I got a 1964 Austin Healey, which is pretty much original Healey colours, but repainted of course. An MGB, which is midnight blue. Motorbikes, they're pretty much standard colours. I get a bit of a good feeling when I look at it and think that I've done quite a bit of it myself. Had a lot of help with mates, but most of it I did myself, other than the painting. When I walk in the shed, I see the look of it. I think that's pretty damn cool.
I spend a lot of time out here. The RT Charger's the real deal. An E49. Remember A-Charger? I've always got projects on the go, so Shannon's laid-up cover helps protect my restorations. I'm Mopar through and through. It's a passion Shannon's understands. I wouldn't insure my cars and bikes with anyone else.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
Hare & Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare & Forbes has the range.
This Healey I got behind me here, 1964 BJ8. I got that out of Sydney. It came from Vancouver. I had to convert it. I had to get it painted, the same painter that did the pickup, Andrew Ash. He painted it, did a really nice job, but she had a lot of rust. Come from Vancouver, it was salty roads and rust up under the guards, rust in the chassis. I pulled all the chassis out of it, I pulled everything to bits. Every goddamn thing on it was pulled to pieces, replaced. A local mechanic, great guy, Eric, he had done the motor up for me. I put it back in and she goes like a rocket. It's a really good car. Izzy, the same upholsterist, did the truck. His uncle and himself, when he was an apprentice, had done this Healey. It was done in 2000, and it's very nice. It's all new glass, all new everything. It's like a new car. I love it. It dries easy. It's still the standard motor. Still got Eshu carbies. It's still got the standard old Laycock overdrive on the gearbox. Everything's still the way it was. It's all the engine numbers match, the gearbox matches, the diff, all the same numbers, all good. All the sandblasting, I had to get it sandblasted. A local bloke over in Moss Vale, he had sandblasted it and rung me up and said, come and pick it up, but it's only worth going to the tip because there's so much rust. But when I got it home, I looked at it and I thought, well, I got a guillotine and I got a folder and I made up most of the bits and welded it all in, and I welded most of those delicate pieces with a lead burner, which is what I use for lead work when I do flue pipes and things in my plumbing trade. So I welded it all up with that. The heat transfer is not as great as a full-blown oxy. It all come up nice, and then Andy came in and did a little bit of heat shrinking. Got all the little ripples out that I put in it when I did it and made it all nice and true. The chrome is all been re-chromed. It's all original bumpers and overriders. Didn't buy anything that wasn't on the car. The only thing that's different now is the radio, because it was positive earth. Couldn't get a radio to do that, so I changed it from positive earth to the way all the cars are now. A local auto electrician, he did it for me, and it took him every bit of 10 minutes. Just did whatever he did. I swapped the battery leads over, and I said to him, what do you want me to do now? And he said, done mate, finished. Cost me nothing. He was a good man, but prostate cancer got him, and he died probably 10 years ago now. But anyhow, everything on it is good. I got all new wheels on it now. It had the original wheels. that the splines were a little bit worn. So I rung up the Healey factory, got new wheels, new tyres, new hubs. Drives like a beauty. British cars, I love them as well as American cars. This is a sports car where the old truck isn't. This is a different kettle of fish. You put the roof down and it's just so cool to drive around in. It's really nice. And I've always liked British cars. Got a bit of pommy in me, but the big red truck, that's great. But this one, it's a different thing. It's a sports car, you love it. Either you love it or you hate it, but I love it. 6-cylinder engine up front, big long bonnet on them. They're a good car and they look the part. But the driving skills, I think you got the old-fashioned worm and hook steering. You got all the old pedals, they're all close together. You got to know how to drive a little bit, you know, and a little bit better than a modern car, I think. Drive an old car, I love the old cars, you know. Modern cars, you just sit them and they go. But this one, you got to drive it. I like the style of them, the shape of them. I don't think there's any other car other than an MGA that's got similar looks, and maybe the Jaguars, some of those Jaguars, they look pretty cool. I like all British cars. The interior in this car, Izzy and his uncle, Brute, he did all that. They did a really good job. It all fits together nice and it looks original. It's leather, where original was vinyl, but it's all leather. It all feels good, it smells good. The top had to be done again because it had been folded up in the boot, but the perspex that's in the back of it, that's original, 1964. The upholsterers pulled it out, put it back in the new top, and it's still good today. Driving this one, comparing it to the truck, there's no comparison. The truck is a hot rod. This is classic. This is a real vintage car. The engine was bored out 40 thou, which is not a lot. I think it's a really good engine. The SUs are a little bit tricky. You get them tuned up, they last, they do go good, but something put Webbers on them. The Webbers, not what they come out with, so SUs is what they come out with, so I'll leave them on there. Well, you've got to leave these cars classic. I know some people do take the 6-cylinder engine out and stick a Chevy V8 in them. I had a mate that did that years ago, and it used to go like a rocket, but it's not the way you do things. I leave it the way it was, and that's my choice. Well, I love my classic cars, and this is my passion, fixing them. A lot of people rally them around all the time. I'd rather fix them. I do like doing the work on them. That's my passion. Welding them up and getting them straight and making them look nice and get my mate to paint them. And then sit back and look at them and think, yeah, that was all worth that hard work you did. All worth it.
Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos, a story about Wayne, his shed, and his cars. And as I say at the end of every episode, until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ClassicRestosTV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm.